Hey guys, my name is Keshante Chantel and welcome to my channel. So we are going to be talking about how I just could never date a man with kids again. And I know that can be sometimes a very controversial subject. However, I'm going to explain my reasons why, because I have dated a guy who has kids before, and it brought me to this point where I just have to come to the realization that that type of lifestyle is not for me. So to give you a little bit of a backstory, I have had an on again, off again relationship with an ex-boyfriend since 2008. And that is a very long time to be not only intimate with somebody, have feelings for somebody, and there has been nothing that really has come out of it. Because at that point, we should have been married by now. But I've come to the realization that that is never going to happen, because there have been a lot of things in between that have taken place that is just, at some point, you just have to realize this is not for you and you have to move on. So like I said, we had a lot of back and forth, and during our downtime, we have stepped away from each other and allowed each other to be able to live our lives, which meant we may have gotten into other relationships or could have gotten focused in our careers. That's just the steps that we took into growing ourselves. And so we did have, like, during the course of our first relationship, we took a 4-year break, and the guy that I was seeing, he ended up getting his then girlfriend pregnant. And like I could have been like really upset about it, but at the end of the day, like, we weren't together. So there was no reason for me to have any type of emotional feeling about a situation that he chose to create. So, you know, even after the fact, we did keep in contact, and, you know, him and that specific girl, they ended up breaking up. And like, I don't have anything bad to say about any of these women, but you know, he did break up with her, and then me and him, we got back together. It was like a lot of back and forth. We'd make up to break up, make up to break up. The smartest thing that I could have done was not have kids with this guy, because I would have just been another baby mama. And I really don't want that for myself. At 42 years of age, I want to be married. I want to, of course, have a kid. If it's in the cards for me, I want to have a kid, but I want to be married when I have a kid. So anyway, and I am big on, I don't like, more specifically in any community, not just the Black community, I don't like the whole idea of creating broken homes. But what I do realize is a broken home can come from a marriage too. So it's not like everybody makes mistakes and things happen, and I don't pass judgment there. I just feel like if you do it one time, learn from that, and then the next person that you get with, instead of creating another broken home, perhaps use protection so that that doesn't happen again, because 1 and 1 is gonna equal 2. It's always gonna equal 2. It takes 2 to tango. It's not just the woman's fault. It's not just the man's fault. But if you know that you want to be out here having sex, use protection, because things can happen. So anyway, he basically, you know, during a course of time when the guy and I ended up getting back together, he wanted me to meet his first daughter. And so I was big on like, okay, I don't mind meeting this child. However, we need to have some sort of solid foundation, because I grew up with my biological father not being in my life. My stepfather has always been in my life, and even after my mom and him have since divorced, he's still in my life. So I just feel like I could never be with a man that doesn't take care of his children, because like then I'd have to look at myself like, you know how you grew up feeling all these years. So yeah, I knew how I felt all these years not having my biological father in my life. I would not want to be, as a grown woman, I wouldn't want to be with a man that doesn't take care of his kids. But in this specific situation, I was dealing with somebody who would always weaponize their love. And so, you know, the guy, he knew how much love I had for him, and every situation is going to be different, because there's going to be some men out there who feel like, oh, I can't deal with a woman that has a bunch of kids, because either the baby daddy still gonna want them, or, you know, vice versa. And in this situation, you know, me and him, I did get the opportunity to meet the first daughter, and it was kind of like, okay, what are we doing? Are we working towards something? We got to have a solid foundation, because I don't want to be coming in and out of somebody's child's life. It's not fair to that child that just can't control adult behavior. So, you know, it was kind of like I got to meet her, very beautiful, sweet young lady. And then, you know, not even a month later, we had like a really bad blowout, and then we broke up, and then we didn't talk for like 7 years. And so now moving forward, you know, 7 years passed, we reconnected, and now he has another daughter. And so this one is very young, whereas the oldest one, she is a lot older to be able to understand that, you know, mommy and daddy aren't together, and, you know, it might not be what I want, but she knows how to coexist in a parental space. Whereas when she was younger, there was a lot of situations that was hard, where it was like, you know, anytime that I would come around and I would try to spend time with him and get to know her, she was used to seeing her mom and her dad together. So it would be instantly the crying, I want to go home, I want my mom. And so me trying to be the good woman and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna constantly take the back burner, it wasn't fair to me. And I think when you become like a woman who understands that a man has to have balance in his life, because it wasn't my responsibility to fix that situation. Now, and especially since I wasn't married to him, like I had the opportunity at any moment to walk away, and eventually I did. But I found myself sacrificing so much just for the happiness of him. So he didn't feel like he was being pulled in too many different directions, where in reality, I was the one that was being pulled every which way. And so, like I said, I stepped away for 7 years, rekindled something with him, and this time he had a younger child, because this one was younger than the first one that I met at the time. And so now I found myself just realizing, like, as you grow older, you start listening to respond, you start listening, pulling different information out, making your own assumption, because, you know, there would be times that was a big thing too. I wanted to know what the relationship was with the baby moms. Like, are y'all mature? Like, do y'all co-parent really well? And, you know, I'm not the type of woman that's going to believe everything a man says in the beginning. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to let you think that I believe everything that you say. Meanwhile, I'm listening, I'm analyzing, and I'm going to react accordingly. And with this specific situation, I felt like I couldn't move forward with him, because a lot of the talks that I had with him was just me listening. Because if you give a man time, they'll tell you exactly what they want from you, exactly, you know, you won't have to wonder unless you're just a very naive woman. And so me, you know, I'm already thinking that there's a possibility that you could still be sleeping or dealing with the mother of your children, because his actions was just like, sometimes he would act so secretly. Like, you have a 3.5-year-old. Why are you, oh, I'm just gonna pull up on my daughter at like 8, almost 9 o'clock at night? Like, children around that time typically are preparing themselves to go to bed. So you're not gonna have that much time to spend with that child. So I'm listening to the things that he's saying. I'm not reacting, because I'm just like, you know, at this point, it's just not, it's not worth getting a reaction. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back with me was him telling me, oh, I have to pull up on my daughter at almost 9 o'clock at night to go show the mother how to administer medicine. Now, what grown ass woman who lives with a child 24/7 is going to need you to show her how to administer medicine? And it got to the point where, like, it was being done so much to the point that I was feeling like, you know, every time I would want to spend time with him, he couldn't spend time with me because, oh, my kids, my kids, my kids. And I love a man that takes care of his children, but baby, I'm not stupid. Like, I'm not stupid. And it was being done so much that I was starting to have resentment towards him and the kids. And it takes a strong woman to be honest with herself. I had to have conversations with myself and say, Sean, why are you feeling? Why do you feel like this about somebody else's kids? Because I was just like, I don't want kids. I don't want to meet his kids again. I don't want to, like, there's a lot of I don't want us. And I had to realize it was because of him, because of his actions, because of the things that he's saying, because I don't believe him. And that just ultimately made me realize that I just do not want to deal with a man who has kids, because it comes with baby mama drama. And not every man is like that. I fully understand it takes a man to be grown, have balance, have like a really good relationship with God. But as for me, myself, I just, as a single woman, as a woman who doesn't have children, I don't want to put the energy into that. And there are a lot of men my age, because I do date, well, I've never really dated guys that's too older than me, and I'm 42. But I do realize that there are some guys out there who have their shit together and they are my age and they don't have kids and they're waiting for a good woman to come along, versus a man who has kids who still wants to play the field and act like he's single, but wants to use his children as a way to disconnect from you in a sense. And it just, I don't know, like, it takes a really strong woman and a very open-minded woman to be able to sit and say, you know, I'm gonna be open to this. I honestly feel like men with children should be dating women with children, because then you have something in common, then you understand that person. But I don't know, it's just not for me. It's not for me. And I do realize, like I said, every situation is different, every person is different. Yes, I've cared about this person for a very long time. We've had a lot of good moments and we've had a lot of bad moments, but at this point in my life, like, I wish him well. I'm not gonna say there isn't any hard feelings. I'm just mature enough to move on and put me first, because, like, there's a lot of stuff that I just don't deserve as a woman. And so, you know, I think I came off good having a back and forth that many years with this person and not having kids, and that being the only person, honestly, that I've been intimate with or dealing with for all this time. So I think moving forward, just kind of what I'm looking for is not only somebody that doesn't have children, but just somebody that has like a lot of balance in their life. Because if you have a guy that is just ultimately like not into you in general, and they know that no matter how much you care about them, you're gonna always come back, and they try to weaponize their love by using that, you're just not gonna move forward. And I think, you know, waiting for that person to change has hindered me in relationships a little bit. But now I think the 7-year break that I took was very much well needed, because it opened my eyes to a lot, especially what I want and require in relationships, and just kind of what I'm not gonna stand for. Because when we reconnected, like it was a small amount of time, for a small amount of time. Like I'm talking about 2 months, and then I shut that shit down. I was like, if it look like a duck, walk like a duck, quack like a duck, oh baby, it's a duck. And so like I just learned not to question and not to move with my heart so much, because I have a really big giving and loving heart. And I think that's why I put up with a lot of stuff that I did for so long, because I always wanted to see the good in that person. But now I move with my head, because it's just a smarter thing to do when you, and you know, I'm not gonna say age plays a big part in that, because you got some girls who are younger than me that's just like, baby, that duck been quacking. It been looked like a duck. You just chose to not see that that's what it was. So again, this is just my experience and why I just won't be dating guys with children anymore. And if you have dealt with the same situation, you know, you can let me know in the comments, like, is it working for you or did it not work for you? Just kind of where you're at with that. So thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join my beautiful online family, join in the conversation, let me know. Cause you know, I wanna know, your girl been going through it lately, and I wanna know if I'm the only one. So I'll see you guys at my next TED Talk, and you guys have the most amazing day.